Tonight, a 15-year-old boy is placed under citizen's arrest after being caught in the act. A former chief engineer questions the effectiveness of the road widening project. And St. Lucian entrepreneur Johannan Dujon makes Forbes' prestigious 30 under 30 list. We have the details of these stories and more coming up.
This is the Hot 7 Nightly News with Lovelace and Amy Joseph.
Good night. It is Wednesday, the 4th of December 2019. Welcome to the Hot 7 TV Nightly News. We're on Flow Channel 117, also being simulcast on Kiss FM. Watch via our website www.caribbeanhottv.com or on our free Caribbean Hot FM mobile app. I'm Lovely St. Amy Joseph. Thank you for joining us. Handcuffed and questioned, the 15-year-old boy was interrogated by a homeowner after reportedly breaking and entering into the residence. The video shows the boy seated on the floor in the home while the homeowner questions how he got into the house and why he had a cutlass, flashlight, as well as personal belongings. The viral video of the young bandit has warranted a swift response from the National Youth Council, condemning the level of crime no matter the age. Solange Alfred begins our reporting.
A video showing a young boy handcuffed and questioned as to his unwelcomed presence in a home has been making the rounds on social media platforms. The video seemingly was released to name and shame the armed bandit who allegedly entered the residence and was found rifling through the personal belongings of the homeowner. The boy alleges that he was being chased by young men and entered the homeowner's residence for refuge. However, his actions when in the house leads the homeowner to be wary of the tale.
Both sides, skin of your face coming up.
Yeah.
What's your name and your age?
I'm 15 years old.
What's your address?
Monday the Black Star.
Okay, how did you enter the house?
Red door. I opened it with my knife.
Your knife, okay. What is it that you are doing in here?
Nobody lucky fella. I know if you lucky fellas.
You entered here with a cutlass.
No, but I had it already.
Alright, you entered there with a touchlight.
Yeah.
We woke up and we saw the touchlight in the room, then we came and see what was going on. You had a cutlass in your hand. What is it that you are doing in the house at this point in time?
I was running.
You are running for what?
Oh God. No, but that's the truth. I don't know what to say again, Mr. I can't.
Okay, and in addition to that, you have my wife's phone in your bag.
No,
What do you have to say for that? You have my wife's phone in your bag. You were searching when I entered the room.
no, I was trying to talk on it.
You were trying to duck under there.
Recent pronouncements made by Mayor of Castries, Peterson D. Francis, has called for citizens to enact citizens' arrest. In the Criminal Code of St. Lucia, Chapter 3.01 of 2014, Section 30, Subsection 1, any national can make a citizen's arrest if they witness a crime. However, President of the National Youth Council, Nias Alfred, says education on a societal basis must be conducted before encouraging citizens to make such arrests.
There has to be some sort of education drive to teach people, to teach the citizenry about their rights as citizens, about their rights as citizens to conduct basic things like citizens' arrest. So if you're saying that they need to conduct citizens' arrest, some people might look at it as a free call just to arrest people and to do things probably the way that they're not supposed to. So I think in a case like that, education is important.
The damning video has also gained a reaction from Public Relations Officer of the National Youth Council, Edison Lane, who condemns youth involvement in crime. Lane says the surge in criminal elements commands the attention of all facets of society to become involved in crime reduction.
The St. Lucia National Youth Council, needless to say, we condemn crime, be it that it's young people or it's elders. But we are, of course, disheartened every time that young people are at the center of crime, be it as the perpetrators or as the victims. And it's unfortunate that we continue to see this level of antagonism of our very citizens because people have been beaten and battered, whether it be through stealing their property or through violent acts. People have been losing their lives, and this is very unfortunate. Of course, we cannot ignore the fact that this is something that begs for every single institution to lend a hand and to be more observant and vigilant so that we could work together to curb this.
The Royal St. Lucia Police Force has not issued any statement regarding the citizens' arrests of the 15-year-old youth. Reporting for Hot 7 News, I am Solange Alfred.
Now, the National Youth Council has applauded the efforts of members of the public who stepped in to turn a heartbreaking situation into one of giving and grace. The NYC says another recent viral video involving an aunt, her niece, and a pair of shoes has shed light on the issue of the many St. Lucian children who go without bare necessities. Furthermore, the issue of physical punishment and parenting has been placed in the spotlight, with the NYC offering up a plan of action to address these matters.
The story involving the harsh physical punishment delivered by an aunt to her niece over the use of a pair of shoes has gained major national attention, initially for the cruel and unfair beating, and subsequently for the generosity of members of society who willingly assisted the young girl and her family. Public Relations Officer of the National Youth Council, Edison Lane, praises those individuals who have given so generously. But he also highlighted the deeper issue of deprivation that he says permeates throughout St. Lucian society.
We want to commend St. Lucians for their generosity, given the nature of the incident, that people were willing to give, and to offer their assistance when they saw a young person in need. And this is, of course, a very noble attribute, and I must say St. Lucians have shown tremendous appreciation and tremendous understanding as they have contributed from their own will to a situation, to alleviate the situation.
President of the NYC, Nias Alfred, also weighed in on the topical issue of parenting and physical punishment, as well as conflicts involving teachers and parents. Alfred outlines NYC's future plans to reduce violent or abusive actions on the part of parents, guardians, and teachers through an action plan of engagement of all stakeholders.
One of the things that the NYC has actually discussed is the need for parents to be more involved in the development of young people. So one of the ideas that we actually will try to put together into some sort of program or action is that at a time when every single child gets entry into a secondary school, there should be some sort of training or program that involves parents. So for example, instead of the normal you parents coming into a PTA meeting to discuss the academics of their child, there should be some sort of practical aspect where parents would learn about parenting, about the relationship between the principal, the teachers, the administration, and the parents outside of the academics. We find that that is something that can be very vital in terms of improving the relationship between parents and the school. And it doesn't have to be only when the child enters the school. It can be something that is initiated by the parent-teacher associations, where parents get that hands-on training with professionals in various fields, to let them know that there are certain situations where there would be disagreements between parents and teachers, but then there's always a way in which to handle the situations outside of the normal the normal quarreling and the normal violence.
Alfred says the discussions centered on physical punishment at home and corporal punishment at school remains a topic which needs further discussion involving youth-based organizations like the NYC, as well as parents and teachers. Reporting for Hot 7 News, I am Solange Alfred.
One concerned citizen was breaking down the mindset which possibly led to the now viral video of an aunt physically abusing her niece, is calling on politicians and leaders of the island to be a better example to follow in the way that they interact with each other. He says the current back and forth nature is detrimental.
And this goes deeper than interpersonal relationships. This goes to even the way we run our country. That the processes of engagement have to be part of our way of doing business. Our understanding between communities, between institutions, between governments and the electorate, between representatives and their constituencies. Let's stop shouting at each other. Let us look for inclusiveness. When you are making a decision about my future please have me in the room, better yet at the table.
Adrian Ogier says a country must be led by example from the top. He also calls for greater citizen involvement in the resolution of issues of national importance. Former Chief Engineer in the Ministry of Infrastructure, John Peters, says motorists may be waiting in vain for the traffic alleviation which was promised as a result of roadworks taking place on the John Compton Highway. Peters says through his own personal analysis, benefits from this project are likely to be minimal, if any. He suggests that efforts should have been focused on controlling traffic in and out of the city center instead. Shako Wooding tells us more.
As the first phase of the road widening project is ongoing, members of the public have been asked to view it as a short-term inconvenience that will result in long-term solutions to their traffic woes. However, former Chief Engineer in the Ministry of Infrastructure, John Peters, says he is yet to identify any major benefits set to be yielded by motorists.
I don't understand what is being planned. I don't understand. It could not be a widening to 2 lanes. I mean, that's impossible. So what is the net effect of that expenditure? God alone knows what was the thinking of the ministry at that particular time. I am totally bemused. It defies any transportation logic to understand what was the core intent of that particular works that we see going on there. But time will tell whether it was an investment that made sense or it was an exercise in futility.
Peters says in order to increase the size of the highway to a degree which will genuinely impact traffic flow, the level of land acquisition required is simply prohibitive. He suggests that relevant authorities take heed of external factors which heavily affect the functionality of the highway.
You need to look at other alternatives, other interventions, other cost-effective measures in dealing with some of those issues that we face every morning and every afternoon on the Grosley Highway. The highway is functioning more as a secondary road than a highway because of the fact that you have so many roads coming into that major arterial road. And some of those, I think we will have to look at how we can deal with reducing some of those accesses onto the main highway. I think I believe the one by the Computer World, my position is that should be cut off. I don't think that helps at all in terms of the traffic flows on a morning and on afternoons.
Peters urges motorists and taxpayers to look through the cloud of promise set around this development, as it is being funded by government revenue, which could have been allocated much more effectively in the resolution of other issues. For 7 News, I am Jacques Odin.
The St. Lucia Forensic Science Laboratory is said to be moving forward on a sound footing as government provides funding for upgrades to its physical structure, human and technical resources. Prime Minister Alan Shastney visited the facility to see the improvements firsthand.
The government of St. Lucia is committed to reducing serious crime by 45% by 2020. It is part of its medium-term development plan, which gives focus to citizen safety and security. Investigation and prosecution are also part of that plan, where the forensic laboratory plays a critical role. Government recently injected close to $750,000 to do repair works at the facility. The Prime Minister, Honorable Alan Shastney, recently toured the facility. Fernanda Henry is the Director of Forensic Science Services at the lab.
We had a very impromptu tour with the Prime Minister this morning, and I wanted to really express to him our thanks for the injection of $700,000 for the infrastructural repairs to the building. We had cracks in the building. We were suffering from pools of water accumulating in different spaces, which eventually led to the growth of mold. We had to close down the facility for several months due to an invasion of mold. So I really wanted to show him the work that had been done, because the work that was done was good work. We were able to move back into the building. We were able to get the moisture levels down. We're still battling some humidity issues, but I think that's inherent to the building that we need to address. But I wanted to show him the facility as well as the equipment and have him meet the staff.
Once the lab is fully functional, it will be conducting forensic drug chemistry testing with an expanded scope, DNA testing, trace examinations, firearm analysis, and digital forensics. The lab will also absorb the crime scene unit of the Royal St. Lucia Police Force. Henry says that to do this, the lab must be accredited.
A team of people will come from an external body, a body that accredits labs. A team of them will come. They will look at our documents. They will look at our case files. What casebook have you done? Have you done it well? Are you consistent? Are you doing the same thing all the time? Do you do what you say you do? So you have a policy in place. Are you really following your policy as you say? So our documents will demonstrate that. They will also have one-on-one interviews. They will also have an opportunity to see people in lab. So they will see, well, okay, is that person really following the procedure as they should? So after that, then they will sit together with us and tell us what their findings are. If they find that in some areas we are not doing things the way we say, or we may need to improve in certain areas, they will inform us. They then give us a time frame to do that. If we have anything to improve, we have about 8 weeks or so to make those changes.
Government will save tremendous costs once the lab becomes fully operational.
This is the Hot 7 TV Nightly News. Still to come, Johannan Dujon makes the Forbes 30 Under 30 list. Concerned that the region is not heeding calls to build for resilience to climate change. That and more when we return.